What if everything you have deemed as impossible really was possible? What have you known and believed was possible your whole life? You just didn't know how to actualize it. Come and discover a world of infinite possibilities on Outside the Impossible with Venus Castleberg. On this show, we will share pragmatic tools to create the life and living you truly desire. And now, your host, Venus Castleberg.
Hello, everyone. It's so funny when I hear that announcement announcing me, because I never really saw myself as a radio show personality. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. So if you've been listening the last few weeks, we've been diving into the 5 elements of intimacy, which is a tool from Access Consciousness, and the 5 elements are honor, trust, vulnerability, allowance, and gratitude. And we've already done honor, trust, and vulnerability. I didn't do them in that order. It doesn't need to be in a specific order. But today is on allowance. And allowance, you know, it took me a long time to get really what that word meant, because I was like, allowance, does that mean I'm going to get the 10 cents from my parents every week for an allowance? That's what I got when I was a kid. 10 cents. Now, could you imagine? What can you buy with 10 cents nowadays? Not a whole lot. Anyway, side note, squirrel. So allowance is everything is just an interesting point of view. Now, I know that first that might be like, whoa, what is that? You know, that seems like, and to me, it's no small topic. It's, because it piggybacks on judgment. So I guess it doesn't piggyback. It's the opposite of judgment. And judgment is so prevalent in this world, in our lives. We judge ourselves, we judge our significant others, we judge society, we judge our, presidents, we judge. And, I think I touched on it last time when we were talking about honor, and, judging you is the greatest unkindness you can do to you. And it stops creation, it stops what's possible. Judgment stops, it stops you from getting the greatness of you. So just think about that for a minute. Judgment stops you from getting the greatness of you. Wow. So even right now, I'm just going to practice. Let's say I think you're amazing. I think you're great. I think you're doing a great job. I know that you accomplished something today. Even if that's just getting out of bed. Even if that's just walking your dog. Even if that's just saying hello to someone, right? But I know you accomplished something. And we all do the best we can with the tools that we have in that moment, right? So, I can look back at when I was a kid. I was a relatively good kid, truthfully. It didn't mean I didn't still have my moments. And I can look back at some of the times when I was I didn't understand why my mom didn't want me to do something, or I really had no concept of money. To me, money was just always there. So, but then yet my mom would be telling me the money's not there. And I didn't understand that because I didn't have the money. So, but we can all kind of go to like, either I was a, good or bad child, or I was a good or bad parent. Good, or saying that you're good, you were good, is also a judgment. And we can touch on that a little bit more later, but so for now we'll stick with negative judgment because it's easier to see it as judgment. And positive judgment also sticks us. So, but again, we'll address that in a little bit. So, judging you is the greatest unkindness you can do to you. And it stops you from seeing the greatness of you. So even when I was talking to you and saying, acknowledging you for what you did accomplish and how great you are doing with the tools that you have, right? And sorry, the side note of that was, I was trying to say, parents, we can look back when our kids were growing up and go, wow, I did a horrible job or whatever. But truth is, you did the best you could with the tools you had at the time. Now you have different tools. You can make different choices. But that doesn't mean that you did it wrong or that you were bad. You just did it the best you could with the way that you were taught usually, right? And with whatever tools you had in your toolbox at that time. So I say that because even in this moment, I'll say it again, you're doing awesome. You're doing amazing. You're really doing great. You've come so far. Look at all the new tools you have that you didn't used to have. Can you remember when maybe you were a more angry person, or a more sad person, or a more unfriendly person? But as I say that, you're doing amazing. You're wonderful. I can bet you almost every single one of you instantly went to, yeah, but. Yeah, but I didn't do this. Yeah, but this morning I did that. Yeah, but this, my bank account's really low right now. Yeah, but I snapped at my partner this morning. Yeah, but, right? That but stops you from getting the greatness of you. You can't even receive what I have to say. You can't even receive the acknowledgement of how great you are, how great you're doing. Somebody says, thank you so much for everything you did. Almost every one of us, at one time or another, I'm not saying you do it all the time, but at one time or another has said, oh, but I could have done better. Or, oh, that was nothing. There's this deflecting. Like, you can't even receive the acknowledgement of what you are doing that's great, because you're still so hung up on what you're not doing. And if you're hung up on what you're not doing, I'm sorry to say, folks, it's not creating greater. It sticks you. It stops what's possible in your life. Judgment stops. Judgment literally just stops the energy. So you can be going along, everything will be like there's this ease and this smoothness and this maybe deep breaths. Let's say you're taking a walk, you're enjoying, this is a great one, you're enjoying nature, you're looking around at the trees, you're paying attention to the river flowing by, listening to the sounds of the birds. The sun is peeking through the trees and like this glimmering light. It's just beautiful. Everything is so beautiful. And then you start judging something. Either it's cold, or it's too hot, or your walls and your barriers go up. And then you're pinging, I call it pinging, you're pinging off yourself. You're kind of bouncing off yourself because you're in this like judgment thing. You're following the judgment rabbit down the rabbit hole, right? I think I mentioned this another time, but like it's just another really great one. It's like, let's say you're enjoying a piece of cake and like you're really enjoying it and savoring the flavors and loving the texture and like just enjoying it. And then you start going, oh, but this is really bad for me. And oh, I'm going to put on weight from this. And oh, something's not going to, this isn't going to go very well. And this is toxic or whatever you've decided about whatever you're eating. Can you now see that you're no longer receiving from that piece of cake? But when you're in acknowledgement and gratitude and just enjoying it, you're receiving. And then your judgment stops it. Your judgment goes, oh, right? So everything that is, we destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And if you're new to my show and you've never heard the clearing statement or ever heard me say the clearing statement is an access consciousness tool that clears a bunch of layers of energy on different topics and things that we're talking about. And if you want to learn more about it, Dr. Dane here explains it in depth on theclearingstatement.com. But anyway, so back to judgment. So let's just practice, because we didn't really start the call today because I wanted to bring that up. Like, oh yeah, you can definitely see how judgment is a wall. Judgment suddenly has you stop receiving from nature or stop receiving from the taste of food and, or, receiving gratitude from your loved ones. They're so grateful to you, and in your head you're going, yeah, but are you receiving from them? Not much. Maybe a little trickle makes it in every once in a while, but so the walls and barriers instantly go up. So then you're in this deflecting, like I'm deflecting any acknowledgement anybody might be giving me because I'm uncomfortable, or I don't believe that I'm really that good, or that I believe I should be acknowledged for that because there's so much more I could be doing, right? Everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everything that brings up and lets down. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, again, you're doing the best you can with the tools that you have. And that's when we ask questions. Okay, so I'm doing the best I can with the tools that I have. So how does it get even better than this? And what else is possible here that I haven't even considered? Those aren't judgments. Those are open-ended questions that allow more to be possible. But not from, I'm fucked up, I'm wrong, and I shouldn't, that I'm the worst person on the earth and I'm messed up, and so I need to do something to fix it. I need to do something to fix me. So I'm no exception, right? Like, I'm 20 years in the alternative healthcare field, transformational work, you name it. I've probably studied it, and facilitated it and whatever. And for a long time, probably 15 of those 20 years, I looked for something that would fix me because I thought I was broken. I mean, I thought I was probably one of the worst people on the planet. And no, not for any real reason. That just seems really silly to me now even. But, I remember one time, my first dog, the first year we had her, she ate half of our Christmas tree. And that year it was funny. She was a puppy, and, we were like, oh yeah, that's ha ha ha. And then a year and a half later, she's not a puppy anymore. And, she ate my Christmas tree again. Well, I lost it. I got a little angry, and it was amazing how that anger on that particular dog made me judge myself so fiercely that I decided I would be a horrible mother from getting angry at the dog because the dog ate the Christmas tree. Those are the kind of decisions we make all the time. Those are the kind of judgments we make on ourselves all the time based on one thing that happened. And then we've decided that there's no other possibility in our lives. It stops what's possible. It stops you recognizing the greatness of you because you're judging you for that one time that you did something. So everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everything that brings up and lets down, will you destroy and uncreate that times of God's zillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. When you can go beyond judgment, you are unstoppable. Everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. We're going to take a short break. You can call in and ask me any questions. We can talk about allowance for you. 202-570-7057.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
What is magnificent about you that you've never acknowledged? Are you ready to let your own light shine? What if you were 1,000 times more potent and powerful than you give yourself credit for? What if there was a monthly call that is designed specifically to empower you to be all you can be? Would that be fun for you? Venus Castleberg is now offering a Magnificence monthly membership for only $50 a month. Mention this ad and receive 50% off. To register or for more information about the membership, events, and services, please go to www.venuscastleberg.com. Is now the time to be different?
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hello, welcome back. We are talking about allowance, and allowance is everything is just an interesting point of view. But what we were talking about before the break was kind of this light subject of, judgments and where we judge ourselves and how much that stops creation and stops you from remembering the greatness of you. So all the judgments you have of yourself, will you now revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate them all times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And how about all the judgments you have of your business, your money flows, your life, your living? Would you also destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Could you imagine for just one moment what not judging you, your body, your money flows, your business could create? Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Just imagine for just a moment what not judging you, your body, your money flows, or your business could create. And everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive that with total ease, will you destroy and uncreate it times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. So allowance is everything is just an interesting point of view. However, most of us would rather be right than free. So if everything is an interesting point of view, if you could really get to a point where you saw everything as an interesting point of view, every thought, feeling, emotion that you had or that you were aware of was just an interesting point of view, could you imagine how much freedom that would give you? And we are so invested in this world right now in being right rather than being free. And truthfully, sometimes we're trying so hard to be right about how wrong we are. So everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. What have you made so vital, valuable, and real about the judgments of you? Everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Truthfully, to stop judging yourself is a great gateway into receiving all of you and everything you've been asking for with total ease. Everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And I dropped this right before the break. I want to do this one again, because it's like when you can go beyond your judgment, you are unstoppable. Everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. When you can go beyond judgment, you are unstoppable. And everything that hasn't allowed you to tap into that magical, unstoppable, brilliant being that you truly be, will you destroy and uncreate it in totality. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. So, we're often the ones that stick ourselves, truthfully. Probably our judgments of ourselves are the most prevalent. And the other thing that stops us a lot in our lives or sticks us is other people's points of view. But only when we buy them as real and true. So let's take a moment. We didn't do this in the beginning because, like I said, I wanted to play with, knowing that when you are judging you, your walls and your barriers are up. Go ahead and take your deepest barriers down, even the ones you don't know about. Push them down, pull them down, way down. Awesome. So now, how much judgment of your own can stick to you when your deepest barriers are down? And maybe a little bit easier way of imagining this would be imagining other people's barriers. So if other people's barriers, if your barriers are up, when somebody's judging you, they have something to push against, right? So, but when you take your barriers down, there is nothing to push against. And judgment, let's say anger, all of those things just flow by you like water, like you're the rock in the stream and the water is just flowing by you. But when you're trying to deflect judgment, you've got your walls and your barriers up, which actually gives them something to push against. It means that you're resisting and reacting. It means that you're aligning and agreeing with what they're judging you for. Instead of, oh, that's an interesting point of view. Now, I'm not telling you, probably won't go over really well if you're like, having a conversation with somebody and they say something and you say, well, that's an interesting point of view out loud to them. I wouldn't recommend it because that could create some chaos. And what else is possible? But saying it to yourself allows it to flow instead of letting it stick you and glom onto you and where you align and agree, resist and react to it and make it real and true, right? So, and then an interesting little side fact about that, every judgment you receive, basically what I mean by receive is every judgment you allow to flow to you, past you, and beyond you. It just flows like water. That's what I mean by receive. Every judgment that you receive, you gain an extra $5,000 this year, that year. This is something Gary Douglas' Access Consciousness says. And for every judgment you own or let stick you or align and agree with, resist and react to, put your walls and barriers up to, you lose $10,000 that year. And a lot of us are out there going, I don't want anybody to not like me. I don't want anybody to hate me. I don't want anybody to be intimidated by me. And I have this, I'm 6 feet tall, and I think I've had people call me intimidating almost my whole life. And I used to think it was a negative thing or bad thing, but I think it's just that it doesn't matter. But truthfully, they're just interesting points of view. Excuse me. So, what interesting points of view that other people have of you are you letting stick you? And everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate at all times of God's light? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everywhere where you decided that you can't, you aren't, and you won't be magnificent, will you destroy and uncreate that times of God's light? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, puddle, 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. And this was a common one for me. So I definitely like beauty. I like positive reinforcement. I like acknowledging people. I like being grateful for people. I like being kind. And that's just a basic nature of mine. When I was younger, I was probably taken advantage of, and so I got a little bit protective because I was like, well, I don't want to be judged, and I don't want to, right? And the truth is, this is so funny. So the truth is, I also didn't want to see the negative in life. I didn't want to see the things. So I'd walk around with rose-colored glasses quite a bit. Like, I'm like, everything's great, everything's blissful. And to me, in my life, it really was. I mean, I didn't have a lot of chaos in my life. I didn't have a lot of trauma and drama in my life. And at the same time, I wasn't willing to see what was going on. And so I wasn't willing to receive the negative stuff and let that be a part of my life. And when I wasn't willing to receive that there's just crap that happens in the world, that's actually a fact, not a judgment. There's just crap, right? People get in car wrecks, people die of heart attacks. These are just facts of life. It's not actually a judgment, but it's not necessarily a fun thing to experience, right? It's probably not a fun thing to experience to see, children starving in Africa. So I bring that up because being an allowance, we're going to go the other side, is everything is just an interesting point of view. It actually takes the judgment out of everything. And everything is an interesting point of view. And you don't have to filter being an allowance is being an allowance of the good, the bad, and the ugly, of all of it. And not having a point of view about it. Not judging it as right or wrong, good or bad, not aligning and agreeing with it or resisting and reacting to it, but just seeing, okay, that's an interesting point of view. Have you ever realized, have you ever thought about, your point of view versus somebody else's point of view? You guys could be looking at the same exact thing and describe it completely different because you see it completely different. Because we're all that unique. We're all that different. We all have that brilliance of how we see things and how, right? But if everything was just an interesting point of view, might that create a little more freedom? And if you're like me, or are like how I was, where I was just I only wanted to see the beauty, I only wanted to see the positive stuff, I didn't want to see the negative stuff, then I wasn't an allowance of the negative stuff. And I was in resistance and reaction to it all the time. So everything that brings up, we destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. Okay. So I want to just give me a sec. I just wanted to follow a thought here. And if you're not willing to be you, exactly the way you are and exactly the way you're not, or even be greater than that, and isn't it interesting how quickly you can go to a definition of what you think greater means? That's just another interesting point of view. But be greater than you know yourself to be. If you weren't judging yourself all the time, or you weren't letting others affect you all the time. I mean, does it matter if other people hate you, dislike you, don't want you to be successful? In landmark education, I did that years ago, 20 years ago or something. But they talk about we all want to be liked, we all desire to look good and avoid looking bad. So we'll do everything to not look bad. We'll do everything to make sure we look good, right? So, and a common thing is what do you show the world outside, and then who are you being at home? put on this happy face when we're outside, and we think nobody notices or knows that we're not happy, which is also funny. But if you're willing to be you, all of your quirks, idiosyncrasies, they're all judgments, but like everything about you, whether you think it's good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter. If you're willing to be you in totality, what invitation is that to others? Do you want to live in a world of Stepford wives where we're all pretending to be something we're not? Or can we just be us, unapologetically us, without judgment, without apology, without the right and the wrong, and just be like, this is me. I curse sometimes. Whatever your thing is, right? And what other people might judge as right and wrong, good or bad, and you're like, hey, I don't have a thing around it. But you don't have to let their points of view stick you. Just let it flow by like water in a stream. We're going to take another short break. If you have any questions or would like to talk to me, I'd love to hear you. 202-570-7057.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Who said life had to be hard and disempower you? What if all of life really could come to you with ease and joy? What if everything you saw as a wrongness of you was actually one of your greatest strengths? What if you could wake up every morning with a newfound sense of empowerment? Join Venus Castleberg to discover a world of infinite possibilities. Every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, Morning Musings goes live on the Venus Castleberg CF Facebook page. What magic can we create every day?
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. We are talking about allowance today, the 5 elements of intimacy, and allowance is everything is just an interesting point of view. And I touched on it, I don't know, 20 minutes ago or something like that, but, most of us would rather be right than be free. As if being right is the best that we can be, as if being right is what we're meant to be, as if being right means we're getting it right, we're doing it right, we've got it right. And then somehow that makes us right. Like, if I can get it right, then I'm right. What if you aren't right, but you also aren't wrong? So what jails are using to create the dominance of E equals MC squared is having rightness as the only option and only possibility. Will you destroy and uncreate this times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And everywhere, this might seem a little weird, but everywhere where you made judgment or you think that judgment is attractive, will you destroy and uncreate that times a godzillion, please? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What I mean by that is, again, we're taught that you're supposed to get it right, be good, and then be in constant judgment of yourself whether you are or aren't being good or bad. And then somehow, this is so fascinating, like a lot of people get into partnerships and relationships, and if they're judging each other, that's a good relationship. Like somehow judgment is normal. It's become normal anyway. And it's, it's okay. We all do it. I judge you, you judge me. I make you wrong, you make me wrong. I'm like, wow. So what else is possible beyond that? And anything that doesn't allow us to perceive, know, be, and receive, that will we destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Are you willing to let the good, the bad, and the ugly be part of your life without a point of view? And everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Now, it's easier, I think, to see, oh yeah, I can totally see when somebody's negatively judging me. And positive judgments often stick us just as much. Because again, if somebody is positively judging us, then we're getting it right. We're doing it right, we're getting it right. We are right. We are good, we are perfect, blah, blah, right? So everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it all, right? Wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And so what perceiving are you refusing with the positive judgments you are choosing? And everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Say that again. So what perceiving are you refusing with the positive judgments you are choosing? Everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. We receive positive judgment and often then go into alignment and agreement with that positive judgment. Oh, they're right. Or I'm right, or whatever, right? Rather than even that is an interesting point of view. Cool. And I know a lot of you are probably asking, all right, so how do I stop judging myself? That seems like a huge thing. Because all my life I was taught how to judge myself. It's almost like judgment was the motivating factor, like judgment, guilt, shame, kind of religion in general. And I have nothing against your beliefs at all, but you can look at a lot of them. The doctrine does go by judging you as right or wrong, good or bad, and then you feel guilt and shame if you don't, follow the rules. So, one for me was, no sex before marriage, and then how guilty that I feel when I had sex before marriage, right? So, and it's almost like we thought that guilt and shame and judgment would motivate us to be better, to be gooder. I know that's not a word, but to do better. And I don't know about you, but anybody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, F you, I'll go do it anyway. So I think it's more of a motivator to actually tell somebody they can't do something and then they'll go do it, rather than, if you really don't want them to do it, you probably should say something like, well, you can't not do that, or everybody else can do that, but not you, right? Like, that's more motivating than telling somebody that they are not allowed to do something. I almost always go do it anyway, right? So what I was saying was, yes, I know you're asking, okay, so how do I stop judging myself? It's way simpler than you think. And the number one tool I'd like you to get today is just an IPOV. Just an IPOV is a cute Russian boy that I found. No, I'm just kidding. Just an IPOV. And IPOV is an acronym for Interesting Point of View. So if you were to walk around being a walking, talking meditation every day for every thought, feeling, and emotion that came in, and you said, that's an interesting point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, you have that point of view, right? So every thought, feeling, and emotion that you have, you would tell yourself, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. And for every thought, feeling, and emotion you're perceiving and receiving from other people, interesting point of view, they have that point of view. And it's just a bunch of interesting points of view. What's fascinating to me, though, is all of the interesting points of view are what sticks people and has them not creating the life and living they truly desire. If they're in judgment of whether their partner should drink or not drink, are they creating their lives? It's their life. They get to choose what works for them. You get to choose what works for you. I'm not saying that you have to necessarily live with them. If it doesn't work for you, you can totally move and live somewhere else. But living with them and making them wrong for what they're choosing, it's not your life, right? And vice versa. How many times, how motivated are you when somebody tells you should quit smoking? Or quit drinking, or quit doing drugs, or right? You're not very motivated. Usually you'll probably stick it out and do it a lot longer because somebody is judging you about it, and then you'll resist and react, which is that sticking point, right? So the easiest way to get out of judgment of you and to receive other people's judgments as just an interesting point of view is to be just an interesting point of view. You can also, I did the judgment clearing, all the judgments here of me, of this, of any person, place, or thing, will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all. Times ago, telling you. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And, I don't expect you to remember that and catch all that and write it all down. I'll say it again for those of you who feel like you have to write it down. But the truth is, you can also just say, that judgment clearing that Venus did, that works too. So all the judgments here of me or of this or of any person, place, or thing, I will revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. So it's called the judgment process. You can run that. You could actually put that on a clearing loop. And run it. Clearing loop, the reason why we say clearing loops is because if you put this clearing on a loop and you loop it overnight while you sleep, you will have more freedom than you could possibly imagine just by running a clearing loop of any sort at night. I do find that these little access consciousness ones are pretty potent for sure. And that's just my interesting point of view. So you have to find what works for you. If what I say doesn't work for you, then throw it out. Find something that does work for you. Find something that does bring you joy and bring you freedom. I bet you can't. See, that's motivation. If I dare you say you can't find more joy and more freedom, you might actually seek for it. But if I tell you, you should go find more freedom and more joy, you're like, no, I'm not going to. So I don't think you can. Everybody else can, but you can't. I crack myself up, obviously. So, and if you can do just an interesting point of view, that the first tool, if you can do that for just 3 days for every thought, feeling, and emotion you have, you will be free. And what do you think 3 days of that could create in your world? Could change in your world? How about doing just an interesting point of view for a year? Do you think you might actually experience more freedom, more joy, more ease? I bet you can't. Cool. So as a practice, another tool, the third tool I'd recommend today is to keep your barriers down and let every thought, feeling, and emotion flow around you like water. So just imagine that. Just imagine for a minute with your walls up. And I know we did this, but I want to do it again because it's like, okay, so now imagine having your walls up and somebody is yelling at you, screaming at you, judging you, shooting daggers with their eyes at you, blah, blah, right? And judging you, has all their points of view, right? And you have this wall up. They have something to continually push against. If every day and every situation you just pull your barriers down, you push your barriers down, they won't have anything to push against. And if it's somebody like who's yelling at you and angry and screaming and blah, blah, if you have your walls down, they don't have anything to push against. They'll run out of steam. But if you have your walls up and you resist and react to them, then you guys are just pushing back and forth, right? And suddenly there's this there's a no give, right? And it keeps perpetuating it, it keeps emphasizing it and all that stuff. So if you have your deepest barriers down, even the ones you don't know about, then judgment can just flow. It can just be there. It can just be an interesting point of view. And there's nothing you need to do with it. So everywhere where you bought the lie that all the awareness that you have had, that you had to do something with it. So let's say you're aware that, your spouse is judging themselves. And you're like, well, I'm aware of it, so I'm going to tell him about it. I'm going to point it out. I'm going to try to help him to not do it. That doesn't usually work. Again, that creates some sort of resistance and reaction, something to push against. And then usually your spouse will be like, I'm going to do it anyway, because you're pushing against it. So if you would be willing to not have a point of view, to not have your walls and your barriers up all the time, then might you have more view, and everything that goes on around you is just an interesting point of view. And I use the example of being hated, and I get nobody wants to be hated. And at the same time, if it's just an interesting point of view, then it doesn't mean anything. And I think that's what sticks, is because we want to make it mean something. Somebody hates me, it means something, I need to do something to fix it. No. There are going to be people that aren't going to like you, and then there's going to be people that adore you, and it might be the same person at different times in their lives, right? But none of it needs to stick you. And the last tool I want to give you today before we are done is all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory, is the mantra of access consciousness. And if you say, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory 10 times in the morning and 10 times at night, your whole life will change. So if you're hitting some judgment about yourself, or you're receiving judgment from other people, if you're saying this mantra, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory, again, it's almost a way for your barriers and your walls to come down. Thank you for being here on Outside the Impossible with Venus Castleberg. And next week we'll be talking about gratitude. I look forward to hearing you then. Have a great week. Happy 4th of July.